Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar, Beyond Word of Mouth, the truth about patient reviews and social media. We're really excited about this webinar. We want to thank you so much for joining us for our first ever webinar with Doctor.com. Doctor.com, if you're not familiar, is doing some really, really great stuff for healthcare all across the country, and we're really pleased to have them joining us today. My name is Andrew Glass, and I'm the head of regional development for Main Street Hub. I've been with Main Street Hub now for over 3 years, and I've got probably the best job in the entire company. I lead all of our small business educational services. And what that means is that I work with local chambers of commerce, small business associations, and groups all across the country providing workshops, seminars, and boot camps for their members. I also get to travel across the country speaking at events and trade shows about small business online best practices. And what this does is it really gives me a great opportunity to go out there and meet with business owners like you all across the country and give them some hands-on training on how to use the internet to reach more new customers, and in this case, some more new patients. And through our workshops and webinars, I've helped educate and train literally thousands of local business owners across the country. And today, I'm joined by David Brooks, who is the co-founder and vice president of client services for Doctor.com. And with that, David, could you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. My name is David Brooks. I've been at Doctor.com also for about 3 years, and we started as a vision to transform the way that doctors and patients find each other on the internet. And we have some interesting technology behind a lot of that stuff. My role is basically to make sure that the clients that work with Doctor.com have excellent service, and to make sure that investors and just the media understand a little bit more about our mission. So I do a lot of work communicating to regular clients as well as to a lot of decision makers, both in medical practices and in mainstream media.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you so much, David. Happy to have you here with us. And before we dive into the presentation, I do want to just go over a few housekeeping things with everybody here. Just so you know, everybody that has joined us today is on mute. So if you have any questions, and we encourage you to ask those questions, probably the easiest way for you to get a hold of us is through Twitter. So you can reach me at Social Glass or at Main Street Hub, and you can reach David at Doctor. Today we're using the hashtag PTWOM to kind of organize the conversation. If you're not on Twitter, which you should be, but if you're not, feel free to ask those questions through GoToWebinar. There is a question box in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Just click that, ask your questions, and we will be going over a Q&A period at the end of the webinar. So we definitely encourage you to participate in that way. So what we're going to be covering today is that we just really want to make sure that you have a really good understanding of why reviews matter for bringing in new patients. And we're going to cover a lot of things that are going to help you understand how reviews are affecting your business and how you can leverage those. And we want you to understand how patients are selecting new providers. There's a lot of things that go into the decision-making process, and we're going to cover all of those so that you can use those to your benefit. We also want to make sure that you understand how you can manage and improve your practice's online reputation and spread more word of mouth about your business online. Again, to reach new customers, but also to re-engage and to reach out to existing customers as well. So with that, I do also want to spend some time letting you know just a little bit about Main Street Hub and why we do what it is we do at Main Street Hub. It's our mission to help local economies thrive, and we do that by supporting those businesses' online best practices. And we've been doing that now for over 3 years, or I guess I'm sorry, for over 5 years. And it's been our pleasure to help local businesses connect with more of their customers by extending their customer service online and helping them spread more word of mouth. We're based in downtown Austin, Texas, and we are the only full-service do-it-for-you marketing platform that is focused exclusively on small local businesses. We've worked with thousands of small businesses across the country, and we do all the work so you can stay focused on running your business. We have the technology, the manpower, and the experience to help you grow your business the right way the first time around. And in recent news, we were recently named to the Inc. 500 as the 73rd fastest growing company in the country. So there are a lot of exciting things going on at Main Street Hub, and we're happy to have you here with us today. And with that, David, could you tell us just a little bit more about Doctor.com?
Great. Yes, thank you, Andrew. Doctor.com is a software as a service company. We automate marketing, reputation management, and patient acquisitions for doctors and other licensed healthcare providers. We offer a few unique services. The first is a convenient central dashboard from which providers can manage more than 80 different directory listings for local business listings and healthcare directories. We also provide access to a content network comprising 12 major healthcare directory sites that reach an aggregate 18 million patients each month. And we work with practices to publish provider listings and, more importantly, patient reviews across this entire network. And finally, we offer a totally unique solution to capture positive new patient reviews right in the provider's office. And I'll explain a little bit more about this later. And I think now we can just go right into the presentation, Andrew. Thank you. So based on our experience, what I'd like to first cover is how do patients choose a doctor? And here's what we know about patients' search behavior on the internet. Almost half of patients start searching more than 2 weeks before they'd like to schedule an appointment. So as with any other considered purchase, patients are keen on doing research and have not yet focused on a brand, like the individual name of a doctor. If you were to check the browser history of a typical new patient, you'd see things in there like Philadelphia dentist or find a dentist Denver. These are searches that they haven't yet found you as the provider. They're still kind of in that research information gathering phase. Patients naturally go to Google, but a surprisingly large number of patients, about 84%, use both online and offline directory sources. And while only 13% of new patients start on health directory sites such as Vitals or HealthGrades or WebMD, roughly 80% actually end up there for searches. The technology that they're using, about 1/3 of the patients say they're using mobile devices daily for provider research or making appointments. And almost half of those mobile users actually did make an appointment using their mobile device. So why are online reviews so important? And here's just some statistics. I think let's just kind of put it in proper focus. More than 100 million people in the United States go online to find healthcare every single month. 77% of patients perform a web search before booking an appointment. 61% read online reviews before selecting a doctor. 50% of patients say that good reviews would encourage them to select a doctor, and 72% said bad reviews would prevent them from choosing that doctor.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think one of the things that we want to cover, and something that's really important for any business, when you're doing when you're doing marketing, it's incredibly important that you actually identify who your audience is and who are the people that you're trying to reach with your outbound marketing efforts. And when you're dealing with a social audience, these folks who are going onto review sites and are going onto social media platforms to either research your business, connect with your business, or ask questions with your business, the three buckets that are so much easy to find are your new patients, and these are, of course, folks that haven't heard about your practice yet. They're going through discovery, they're reading reviews, and they're searching for the place that's best for them. And then we have friends of those customers. These are people that are following those patients on Facebook, on Twitter, following them on Yelp, reading the reviews that they have, and making decisions based off of the types of activities and the types of decisions that those people are making. Then, of course, we have your regular patients. These are folks that have already come into the office, they've done business with you, and we want to turn those people into revisiting patients, folks that are reminded of how great their experience was the first time, and get them coming back and sharing that information with their friends. So now that we've identified who our audience is, I think it's important to really just spend a little bit of time understanding how they're making those decisions and what they're doing to make a decision to come into your practice. So with new patients, they're going to be spending a lot of time on customer reviews. They're going to be taking a look at the number of reviews you have. They're going to be taking a look at your actual reputation. And David's going to cover some really interesting stuff about how they're making decisions based off star rating and number of reviews. But keep in mind, there are a lot of things that you can control on this in terms of the detailedness of your actual profile, making sure that your phone number and address are correct. So make sure that you're really taking the time to optimize, claim, and really build out your reputation on these sites. Now, in terms of friends and referrals, a lot of those people are going to be really paying attention to the type of content that your patients are sharing through their social networks. So imagine every single time you post something on your social media, it has the opportunity to generate a like, a share, or a comment. We're all really familiar with those terms. Now, When your patients are liking that content, that's giving you the opportunity to penetrate or essentially get more reach into their network of friends, coworkers, and colleagues. And on average, the typical person has about 245 friends on Facebook. So really leveraging that platform and creating unique, original content is going to help you spread that reach and get more friends and referrals out of social media. Finally, in terms of staying top of mind, again, Facebook is probably your best friend in terms of just reaching that audience, staying focused, and keeping them sharing that news about your business. It's important to share things about your practice. And this post here is really friendly. It's really easy. It's just saying, hey, we're celebrating our 11th birthday. We're 11 years old today, and it's been an honor and a privilege to provide medical service for your children for the past 11 years. And a lot of us attending today probably could share something very, very similar. And as you can see, this very simple post generated 69 likes and 3 comments. So when you multiply that out, obviously there's a lot of opportunity to reach new patients from your content on social media. Now, how do patients interact with your business online? Obviously, Facebook and Twitter are really important, but there are more sites than that. And one of the kind of struggles for anybody maintaining a practice these days is just the sheer number of different platforms and sites that are out there. So one of the things that can be really important is managing your time. So we've done the work in kind of identifying some of the sites that are going to have an enormous impact for your practice. And of course, Yelp, all of us are familiar with that. We're using that to find new businesses every single day. Over 138 million users come into that site to find businesses that they trust. So making sure that your reputation is really shining on that platform can have a huge advantage to your practice. Now, Facebook, there's over 1.3 billion people using that site, creating more than 5 billion posts every single day. Now, on the other side of that, there's over 33 million small businesses that are effectively competing for the real estate on those potential customers' news feeds. So that's why it's become incredibly important to create engaging and original content. So spending some time and focusing in on what really is going to be compelling and meaningful for your audience is really important. Thirdly, Google Plus Local. Google's gone through a lot of different versions in terms of how they're managing that. First, it was Google Maps, which we may remember from a few years ago. Then it turns into just Google Plus, which was effectively a social network. Now they've combined those things into Google Plus Local, which is a really powerful network that has over 400 million active users and a lot of really great functionality to help get you in front of more new patients. Twitter is the second largest social media platform out there. There's over 1 billion people using it, generating more than 5,700 tweets every single second. Now, in terms of a proactive tool to actually reach out and pluck out effectively new patients, this is a really, really useful tool. Just imagine all the people talking about the types of services and products that they're interested in, talking about the different types of pain, joint pain that they might have, or different things. And we'll cover a couple of real-life scenarios and case studies here towards the end of the presentation. And Foursquare. For a lot of people, this is one that they may be less familiar with. Foursquare is a really terrific tool that's built on social discovery, and there's over 55 million users using that to find great new businesses that not only their friends are using in town, but also other people that can influence that decision. So in terms of the importance of these reviews, it's really important for you to understand that the reason why customer reviews are so powerful, and the reason why these turn these review platforms into transactional platforms, is because they're not seen as advertising. They're just seen as a conversation that's going on around your business. And so the opinions and the reviews and tips around those are seen as way more credible. So as a practice, there are a couple things that you should be doing with all of your customer reviews. Number one, you want to make sure that you are responding to the reviews that you're getting online. A lot of people see that 4 or 5 star review is the last step. Hey, great, we've built our reputation up, but really that's an opportunity for you to thank that person, develop a relationship, and use that as a way to cross promote into some of the other more social platforms out there like Facebook and Twitter. Also using it as a platform to get ideas for new products, services, and packages, ways to create urgency to get people to come in through the door for that first time. And then lastly, really cultivating that relationship, staying top of mind, and encouraging repeat business. Now, with that, David, you had some really great information about how we could really leverage these review platforms.
Great. Yes. Thank you, Andrew. And so let's discuss a little bit more deeply how reviews fit as part of your practice's marketing program. First, there's a very strong correlation between the number of good reviews that you get and your search rank, especially for local business searches, maps and navigation search, and mobile search. Many search pros, there's a website called moz.com, but many search pros believe that reviews and rankings have actually increased in importance, especially after the Google Pigeon update from July of 2014. But periodically, Google tweaks their search algorithm, and they're increasingly looking at these local search quality signals to determine who gets to be on the top of search rankings. Google reports that searchers are 17% more likely to click on a web ad that shows stars of 3.5 or more. It's a greater value of, reviews signal building of trust, as Andrew was saying, and reflection of your in real life word of mouth. But great reviews alone are not sufficient to grow your practice. So this is a graphic that shows the classic AIDA model for how advertising is supposed to work, sort of a theory of advertising. And it's pretty logical, but basically the first is you want to capture the buyer's attention, say something that generates a specific interest in what you're selling, but before the patient actually calls, they actually have to have a reason to call. So this is the point where reviews make the most sense as part of your marketing mix. They give a persuasive argument, a reason to call. They creating that sense of desire. Why should I call this practice? That's kind of mentally where to think about reviews fitting in terms of your marketing efforts. And then finally, most importantly, you have to ask the customer to actually call you, and you need to make it easy for them to make an appointment with you. So just keep in mind, Andrew was had a very detailed list about what reviews are. But what reviews are not is they're not the sufficient and the end-all for creating that attention. They're very important for creating interest. They're essential for creating persuasion, and they're a great way to start a public dialogue, whether you like to or not. But it's a great opportunity to kind of speak to people and engage them in a public forum. So now let's look at how you might want to manage the reviews process and how to get the metrics right. And there was a survey done of patients by a company called Digital Ascent a couple years ago, and it touched on some very useful metrics. So first, the survey asked, when evaluating a doctor based on online reviews, what is the minimum number of reviews needed before you'd consider their rating credible? And as you can see here, about 2/3 of patients think that 10 reviews or more is sufficient to be a credible representation of your online reputation. So the next question is, well, how many stars is enough? And the survey suggests you need a minimum of 4 stars or more before anyone will call. Anyone who's looking for a provider, that's the minimum threshold that you have to kind of look at. And so if you look at those first 2 slides, you might say to yourself, well, great, I have 20 online reviews and most of them are 4 stars, so that should be enough. And the answer is, well, not quite. So there's a concept about freshness and recency, and this is probably very important to focus on. By the time a review is 12 months old, 75% of respondents feel that it's lost all credibility. And so the key takeaway here is that online reviews aren't a problem that could be solved with a one-time effort. To achieve an online review program, a winning kind of part of your marketing program, you need to take steps to ensure that new reviews are continuously added and continuously freshed. This is a measure, the survey question basically talked about a bad review, which is a 1-star review. And it asked a very important question, is how many 1-star reviews are enough to turn you away from a provider? And basically the answer is one bad review in 20 could mean some trouble for you. So most patients are open-minded, and we tell clients that the occasional bad review is not really fatal. Most patients will just dismiss it as a fluke because you can't please everyone all the time. And occasionally bad reviews make great reviews seem more real. If you see 30 or 40 5-star reviews in a row, they kind of lose some credibility. So 1 or 2 malcontents or some very low reviews make those other reviews seem a lot more credible. But we warn clients not to let bad reviews define a trend, and certainly do not let them go unanswered. Bad reviews need to be aggressively pursued by a savvy combination of personal outreach, public outreach, and if necessary, appeals to the publisher for legitimate violations of the publisher's standards. And the best strategy of all is just to get more positive reviews that overwhelm the occasional bad review. And so, and that's kind of the, let's just take a summary right there. So reviews create a reason to call. They're not necessarily the only mechanism that people can have to get attention to you, and they're certainly not sufficient, but it's a great stimulus to actually pick up the phone. It's a deciding factor. It's a very public validation of your reputation, but if you think about it, it's nothing more than just an online scorekeeping of what happens probably privately dozens of times a day between friends and family who are talking about you as a provider. So the web just kind of makes public and aggregates a lot of those private conversations that are already happening. Consistency in your rating and the amount of reviews you get are very important. And bad reviews are not all bad because they tend to reinforce the credibility of the reviews you're getting, but certainly too many bad reviews can be very bad for your practice. And so now the question is that, once we've established the measurement system, let's look at how do you manage the process and the tactical realities of implementing a review process. And so with so many different review websites out there, how should you proceed? And where should you concentrate your efforts? So when a patient comes to any website and sees a review, there's a number of factors that come into focus in the patient's mind. How many reviews are actually there for the provider? How fresh are they? Are they mostly positive or negative? Are they real? So it's especially important that you take steps to make sure that your practice looks credible. And I'm sure people are familiar with the graphic there on the right-hand side about the anonymous silhouetted doctor, but it's actually a pretty big problem because I don't know as a patient whether those reviews are credible or not. I don't know if the doctor's even seen them, if the doctor is real. It just makes the practice look less credible because that citation was not claimed. And so when you're considering a review process, don't look at your reviews without also looking at the appearance of your directory citations and making sure that it looks credible. It might be ignored by you, but it's not ignored by the patient. So there are so many different directory sites. How do you focus on what's important? Simply getting reviews without an understanding about where they're published and how they'll be perceived is dangerous. Here's a point of view that we think makes the most sense in helping you set priorities for claiming and managing your listings. First, focus on websites where you and the patient are both credible. That means where you have a verified listing and you know the patients are also verified. Next, focus on social media sites. And as Andrew was suggesting, these are small audiences, but they have huge impact. If a patient says something nice about you on Facebook or Google+, be kind and reciprocate. Friends and families notice this sort of thing, and it's a very powerful technique to building word of mouth and referrals. Next, focus on directories that are consistently on the first 2 pages of Google search results for search terms that are relevant to your medical specialty. This includes all the major healthcare sites like Vitals, RateMDs, HealthGrades, but also some specialty sites. You might be surprised to find that you're already there and there's already reviews about you that you didn't know about. So make sure you claim your listing and respond, especially if those reviews tend to be negative. Reviews posted on consumer review sites like Yelp or Angie's List may be ultimately less important because we believe most patients are not really looking at these general interest sites when they're actually seriously looking at doctors. So also, if the practice owner doesn't claim and verify that business listing and respond to those reviews, there's really a lot of question as to whether those reviews were actually written by real patients. And then when you move down the chart, you see a lot of other websites where it's not really clear whether the doctor or the patient is actually real. And so while these sites are not really credible as a review source, it's very important that your name and address and phone number are accurate and consistent with your Google business listing as well as your main website. Inconsistent old information dilutes your search rank, but that's a topic for another webinar. We'll move on. So now that we've discussed where to get those reviews, let's focus on how. Patients are much more likely to leave a review when you make it fast and easy, and that means right in the office at the point of care. Uh, Post-visit follow-up emails can be easily ignored or dismissed, but a friendly request at the checkout is much more likely to succeed. So our solution is an in-office review collection laptop that we call the Review Hub. It's an easy-to-use device. It's a wireless device based on the Chrome operating system, and it's designed only to collect reviews from patients directly at the point of care. All the reviews are moderated for quality, then published across the entire Doctor.com network, which includes Vitals, Dental Plans, Ask.com, DocSpot, UCompare Health, Wellness, and many more on the way. But you don't need an in-office computer device to promote in-office reviews. Some practices make a small poster with easy-to-follow shortened links to the reviews collection. Other practices make posters with QR codes so patients with smartphones can be connected directly to a review site. And when all else fails, you can offer a reviews reminder postcard or a flyer with instructions on how to leave online reviews. But the key to success is make it easy, make it immediate, and always ask. So here's one statistic that really reinforces the importance of making it convenient for patients. We've studied Review Hub utilization over a 6-month period, and patients were 8 times more likely to leave a review for a provider that offered the Review Hub device versus a provider that did not have the Review Hub device. And we saw an average of about 16.8 reviews during that same period, where a practice that did not have that was getting on average about 2 reviews during that period. So interestingly, the rating was just slightly better for the in-office device review versus the offline review. And I think this speaks to the fact that patients are much more likely to give you a good review if you ask them, but 8 times more likely to do so if you ask them in person in the office at the point of care. And so just to kind of wrap up my portion of this, it's important to take steps to actively manage your reviews online. You should authenticate and claim all the healthcare directory citations for your practice, especially those that publish reviews, and focus on the ones that appear in the top Google search results. They're the ones that are most likely seen by your patients. Actively monitor all those reviews to make sure that you're on top of them, that you're praising good ones, and sincerely respond to bad reviews. Don't let a bad review go unchallenged, but do so in a public forum because other people are watching the way you respond. And then explore practices that just make it easy to get a very high concentration of good reviews in the office and just make it a part of your normal business process. Don't shy away from the opportunity to get another public review. Most people, when asked, will give you a good review, or they just won't give you any review. They very rarely, if you ask them, will they give you a bad review. Okay, Andrew, it's back to you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Dave. And so one of the things that's incredibly important to understand is that, the customer journey really has changed quite a bit in the last few years. Obviously, a lot of us may have been around in the days of the good old yellow pages, and that was really the one way that somebody could find a brand new business. And now social media has really opened up the doors to allow us to not only get found in a lot more ways, but also to have really a more kind of personal and authentic voice in how people are discovering our business. Now, the other side of this is how do we maintain the relationship with our current customers and really set our right foot forward and introducing ourselves to new customers. So with social media, it allows us to really kind of dive into that using customer service to not only generate loyalty with our existing patients, but also use this as a way to gain new patients as well. So with that, let's take a look at some of the really kind of easy things that we can do to start building some of that loyalty. Number one, like David said, is that it's incredibly important to respond to the reviews that you're getting. Now, number one, when you respond to a great review that you receive on Yelp, the first thing you're doing is really letting that patient know that you've seen the review, that you appreciate the time and energy that they took to say great things about your business. But the other part of that is you're letting your potential customers know how you really care about the feedback that you're getting from your patients. Now, on the other side of that, if you get let's say a so-so review, or maybe just a critical review of how your practice operates, this is an opportunity for you to reach out to that patient, to try to smooth things over and to kind of clear up any miscommunication that happened. Now, by responding professionally to these types of reviews, you're giving your practice an opportunity to get that patient back, but you're also proactively letting potential patients know that, hey, this is how you respond to criticism, and you want to. Me personally, and I know a lot of other people, feel a lot more comfortable going to a practice that's willing to, own up to something and to respond to that type of feedback. Now, on the other part of this, it's your opportunity to answer questions. Now, people use these social networks to, build their profiles and express who they are. So it's important for us to, reach out and answer the questions that they are asking, whether it's about a service, whether it's about a product that we carry, and really just become a thought leader in terms of that. Now, the more active you get on these social profiles, there's an effect that's going to happen from that. It's going to start marketing your business by people, by the content that you're creating, whether it's responding to reviews on Yelp, posting original content on Facebook, answering questions on Twitter, and just responding to reviews all around the board. This is going to help your business get found organically online, whether it's through Google or through Bing. 7 out of the top 8 factors in terms of impacting your organic search for SEO all revolve around social media, and it's really based on how active you are and how engaging the content is that you're creating. Now, it's also about being proactive. Customer service isn't just about responding to people who are talking directly to your business. This is a really great scenario here that I love, this example, where a guy named Mo is just complaining about a toothache, and like a lot of us, if you get a toothache, you end up telling a whole lot of people about it. And a lot of us end up kind of just sitting on that. Maybe we, try to eat on the other side of the mouth or just kind of pop an Advil or a Tylenol to get over it. But in this case, Dr. Dana reached out and said, ouch, hope that troublesome tooth isn't bothering you anymore. Let us know if we can help in any way. Mo responds back the very same day saying, hey, do you have any openings in the next few days? Dr. Dana responds back saying, hey, give us a call. We'd love to see what we can do. And here's our number. Now, the great thing about this is that Mo ends up calling the number. He comes in, gets great service, and says, hey, I don't usually rave about health or dental care, but hot damn, the folks at Dr. Dana are incredible. # recommended. And then Dr. Dana, we respond back saying, thanks for the shout out. Happy to be of service. We'd love to get your feedback on Yelp too. And now the great thing about this is this really shows us full circle how, reaching out to somebody just to solve a problem and let them know that you're there for them can not only result in that patient coming in, but also in that patient having a great experience and sharing it online. And I really love this too, because it looks like Mo actually reached out, pulled out his camera phone while he was in the chair and took a picture of it. And, all this can be really attributed to just really monitoring social media and providing great customer service, not only to regular patients, but also to potential patients as well. And with that, what we're going to do now is just kind of turn this over to Q&A. And while we're answering these questions, we do have 2 polls that we'd love you guys to answer. And the first one is just whether or not you'd like to receive a one-on-one free assessment from a consultant at Main Street Hub. These don't take very long, but they can really help identify some of the opportunities that you have across your social media platforms and give you a better understanding of what can be done to reach new patients. Let's see. So while we're doing that, let's take a look at one of the questions. We have a question from, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Radoka. Is asking if it's free to create an account on Yelp. And yes, Radoka, it is absolutely free to jump onto Yelp.com and claim your listing or to create your listing for your practice. And it's really a great start in creating a platform to build your reputation on and to get new patients. So 100% free.
So Andrew, I see a question here from Danielle, who is asking if the laptop will work for reviews. She's concerned that multiple reviews coming from the same IP address might lead to some problems. And so I think maybe that's addressed at me. Let me see if I can respond to that one. So yes, it's absolutely correct. If the reviews were all made directly onto Google from people in your waiting room from the same IP address, Google might flag that as an issue. And the Review Hub actually doesn't work that way. The review hub goes to any review submitted to the review hub goes to a moderating queue where it's reviewed by a person for 6 or 7 different quality checks just to make sure that it's authentic and it's not including any kind of HIPAA violations and not too short, not too long. And then it's published to our network and syndicated out to our content partners. Many of those content partners then have their review content indexed by Google directly. When the review is published, a patient is invited, is first sent a link to let them know that the review was approved and is now live. And we send a short email and invite them to log into their personal accounts on whether it be Yelp or Google or Facebook, and to share that review with people in their own circles. And this way, it's a much more natural looking. It's also more authentic because then Google can detect that it is a actual Google user that's logging in from their actual device. And so Google is quite sophisticated about picking out and verifying the authenticity of reviews. So it's a long-winded answer for a very good question.
Great, thanks, Ed. And before we jump into the next question, I'm going to launch the next poll, which is if you would like to learn more about doctor.com, just go ahead and click yes or no on that. And let's see, while we're doing that, this is a question from Susan. Susan's asking, in order to move up to the top in a doctor area, do you have to pay Google directly? And no, this is actually a really great question because it helps us kind of identify what's the difference between an organic ranking and a paid ranking. So when you do a search on any of the number of type of keywords for a medical practice or for any type of business for that matter, there's an opportunity to pay for that keyword, whether that's a pay-per-click or a pay-per-impression to get your name out there. So there's definitely an opportunity for you to pay to get up at the top of the results, but people have become pretty savvy these days and kind of understand what's the difference between a sponsored listing and the difference between an organic listing. So in order to get to the top organically, there are a couple of things that you need to do. Number one, having just an immaculate reputation is going to help impact that. And of course, that's going to help people find your business and make that decision to choose you. As David was saying earlier, having that star rating included into your business listing really, really helps move the needle in terms of somebody clicking that and calling to schedule an appointment. Other things that pay or that can really help you get found, of course, through SEO and getting to the top of organic listings. So just making sure you have a solid, mobily responsive website that's easy to get indexed and found by major search engines.
So there's a question here from Bill that talks about HIPAA, and especially when you're the question is, please address HIPAA elements to patients giving a review or asking them to post a review. It's an excellent question, and I see here that you're in the field of psychology, and it's probably a more sensitive issue than, say, a dentist. In general, we have a couple of ways to do this one. I think the first and the most obvious one is that it's kind of self-selecting, depending on your comfort level with the patient and the type of practice. You can decide if it's appropriate or not to discuss leaving a review. But also, our review hub allows you to leave, or allows the patient to leave an anonymous review. So not only do we have a human editorial team that reviews and makes sure that no personally identifiable information is put inside a review, and certainly nothing related to detailed personal information about the patient's treatment. But we also give the patient the option to make the review anonymous. I think what's a key differentiator for us, though, is that the device itself is clearly in your office, and so we can actually flag that review as being a verified patient. An anonymous review is, for us, not necessarily a problem because we can authenticate that review came from a device that was in your office.
Great. And then we have a Michelle, and Michelle is asking, we have a lot of 5-star reviews on Yelp, but more than half of them are under the not recommended filter because the patients aren't regular Yelpers. Any advice on how to get patient reviews recognized as recommended? This is a great question because this is something that it will help a lot of you, and this is something that I get asked quite a bit. So with Yelp, there are reviews that are recommended and reviews that are not recommended. And Yelp uses a pretty sophisticated algorithm to determine whether or not a review should actually be highlighted up on the front of the page. And a lot of that comes from, as Michelle was noting, that they aren't regular Yelpers. They might come in and just leave one review for your business and then never come back and leave a review about anything else. Now with Yelp, they tend to believe that not every review is created equal. And so they by doing this and kind of highlighting people that are using the site more regularly, it really does kind of help the authority of the reviews that you're getting on there. So it doesn't allow, say, a practice to take advantage and do things that are inorganic to effectively boost their reputation up and get that extra business that would come from that. So this is why it's important for you to really work on organically building your reputation out through sites like Yelp and Google to get more people coming in. Now, to your question, is there anything you can do to get these patient reviews recognized as recommended? Now, Yelp does go in and unfilter these non-recommended reviews based on the activity of the folks that are leaving them. So if these patients end up using Yelp more regularly, leaving reviews about other businesses, and really just become a little bit more active on Yelp, those reviews do tend to pop back up into the recommended portion again. So just keep that in mind in terms of how you're building your reputation out there, that it can play a big part. And whether or not they're going to be recommended or not recommended reviewers. And another quick question by Paul about customer review sites, saying most places like Yelp, YP.com, CitySearch, and Google require you to register to post a review. Google even makes you sign up for a Gmail account, and patients don't seem too excited about going through all that just to post a review. Is there a way to bypass that? So and I'm not going to speak to the bypassing portion, but you are right. Really, when you're creating your reputation, it's not about altering or changing patient behavior. It's about taking advantage of it. So like David was talking about, a lot of the different soft touch points that you can put around your office, whether it's a poster with a QR code, a decal on your door with Yelp or Google on there, are great ways to get the people that are already using those platforms to find your business and to engage with other businesses to leave that review. So if they can see, number one, that you are responding to the reviews that you're getting on Yelp and you're essentially moderating the feedback that you're getting online, they're going to be more inclined to leave that feedback. Just think about it. I'm not going to go to your Facebook and post a question if you're never posting anything, because odds are you're never going to see it. Likewise, I may not leave a review on Yelp if I don't think that you're actually monitoring that site, because I want to get that feedback to you. So if you claim these sites, you optimize them and put all your information out there and leave these soft touch points in your office, you're effectively letting your patients know that you're paying attention to your reputation, you're taking a look at the reviews that you're getting. And if they use Yelp and if they use Google, etc., they'll be more inclined to leave those reviews on there.
Andrew, I see a question here from from Mary. And she talks about NAP consistency. Would you mind if I?
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe we can both answer that one. I think it probably touches on both of our expertise. So NAP, for those people who might think it's nap time, nap time actually is short for name, address, and phone. And it is the way, and I think I alluded to this in my presentation, it's one of the signals that Google looks for in terms of consistency of information. And so, yes, it's very important that your name and address and phone number be rigidly and consistently identical through every single citation that's out there. Even small deviations, such as whether you say AVE period versus avenue, can make a difference. We see doctors routinely with first and last names kind of transposed. And it's patients will see through that. Patients understand when you're looking for that one, but Google does not. Google really has a hard time with these seemingly trivial inconsistencies. So it's very important to scan and look for that. We actually have a tool that's on our website. People can go to it's scan.doctor.com. And you can kind of see exactly how you appear to multiple directory sites that Google uses as a reference point. So, but then there's another part of this question where, while the web people say the name and address and phone number have to be consistent, marketing people say they use tracking numbers. And that is also very important. So the key is to not use tracking numbers in places where Google uses that information for organic searches. So yes, it's okay to put a tracking number in a pay-per-click ad, but no, it's not okay to put a tracking number on your website, your main website, unless you have some special code that can change that number so that if people come to that website from an ad, they will see a tracking number, but if they come from an organic search or they come from the Google search engine, they see your actual business telephone number.
Yeah, I would just echo exactly what David is talking about here. It's incredibly important, like you said, to make sure that those numbers are consistent across your different profiles. Marketers like us, we love to be able to track where things are coming from and show how the marketing that we're doing is helping your business, et cetera. But when it comes to your local citations and these third party platforms that are incredibly important in driving brand new local business and repeat business for people searching for your number, just keep in mind that use your standard landline number across all of them. Make it consistent. It'll help you get found, and it'll be less confusing to not only search engines but also to customers as well. So Skip is asking or saying that I have some discomfort about asking for reviews. Seems self motivating, and using the patient. What's the best way to ask? Now, and David, you might have some thoughts on this as well. Typically, what we've found is the best way to let people know that you're interested in getting feedback is just letting them know. Like if you have a patient say, hey, look, we're always trying to improve the practice here, and we're always looking for ways that we can do better, or also to just reinforce the things that we're doing well, to really value you as a patient, would love to get your feedback. And so that's a great way of just letting them know that these sites are important, but it's, you need to be careful in the ways that you do ask patients for feedback around your business. Number one, just so they don't feel intimidated. And number two, so that you get an actual realistic representation of what their visit and experience was like.
Yeah, and I mean, it's discretion becomes a very important part of this one. If you see that someone just came out of a procedure and they're in a hurry or they're in a lot of discomfort, probably not a good idea to ask them for a review. It's probably just good to get them on their way as quickly as possible. But if you see that someone is and kind of looks interested, maybe they're on their smartphone already and they look like they might already be tech savvy, absolutely. And I think our research will show that most people will give you a good review if you ask. If they don't want to give you if they don't want to give you a good review, they won't. And it's the rare individual that will go out of their way to give you a bad review. And then and only then, so if you do ask them that and they are in a bad mood and it surprises you, it's a great opportunity to head that off at the pass and to address their concerns before they feel motivated to actually go home and put something online. The key to this is to intercept those people and to deal with issues before they become public issues. And so asking actually can bring to the surface hidden problems that you might not know were there.
Absolutely, and that's where building your reputation organically can really help. And so, getting folks to say join you on Facebook or Twitter, and giving them the opportunity to see what your practice is all about after the fact can really help. So, reminding them through posts. And through cross promotion. One of the tools that we use here at Main Street Hub that can help with this, if we get a really great review, we can highlight that on your Facebook page. Say, hey, really want to thank John for this, wonderful review that we received on Yelp. Here's a link to go check it out. And that's a really passive way of letting all of your other fans and all of the people that are following you on Facebook know that, number one, sites like Yelp and these review platforms are really important to your practice, but also letting them know that you really appreciate it and highlighting the folks that are leaving you great ones. We've got a great question here from Greg, of course, who's just asking, what types of businesses does Main Street Hub work with? And now we work with all sorts of different types of businesses that are brick and mortar. We definitely specialize in healthcare professionals and creating content for your practices to help grow your practice, get more customers finding you and interacting with your business and growing your reputation. So really, we work with just about every type of business that isn't an e-commerce or warehouse style business. So odds are that we can probably help you out. Okay, looks like we've answered just about all the questions that are out there. For the last few, asking if they can get the slides or see the presentation afterwards. This broadcast was recorded, and we will be sending out a link to that recording. So we want to thank all of you for joining us today for our webinar with Doctor.com. David, thank you so much for bringing your expertise and joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for inviting us, and I look forward to follow-up questions in the weeks that follow when people watch the playback.
All right, everybody, have a great day.